After playing through Dark Souls 3 as Dancer of the Boreal Valley, I wanted to do another run, but as a boss from another game. So for this video, I am going to be Smough. If you equip all of the armor as well as the hammer, your equip load goes all the way up to 150% because Smough's armor weighs a metric fuck ton. It does kill these enemies in one hit, even though I can't wield it yet, so that's good. I then wanted to see if I could beat Gundyr with all of the armor equipped. It was definitely really weird being super slow and not being able to roll. The weapon skill is actually really great. Endure is phenomenal, and I have never used it before, but I think I want to use it more often now. Next, I waltzed my way very, very slowly all the way up to Firelink, and I looked at the weapon requirements, and holy hell, 45 strength? That means I need to get 35 to be able to two-hand it. I also decided to wear the Thunder Thighs for now and progressively put more and more on as I get the equip load, because I don't want to be overloaded, and personally I don't want to be in fat load, but we'll see. I did get the twink from the lizard and got a second one from trading the large lizard shield, which gets my weapon up to +1 before high wall. In high wall, all I needed was the binoculars and Estus shard. I also don't need to do Dancer as early as usual because there's only a few twinks after her, so I dealt with Vort first, who didn't take a lot of damage. I even had to deal with phase 2, which basically never happens. In Undead Settlement, I said hi to York again, but this time the extra levels will actually be useful. I also collected a few rings. Flynn's ring will surely help. Right? Right? Then I fell off a ledge a few times. In this run, I do have the choice of the Unga, the Bunga, or the Bonk. But me no think too well, so I overdosed by taking all three. And if you don't want to get crushed under the weight of this massive bonk, make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah. I did 3-shot Crystal Sage and collect Lloyd's Sword Ring from the Cathedral, but I didn't notice that I forgot to press record. So that's pretty unfortunate. But it happened. Believe you me. I didn't do too much in Cathedral after picking up the ring, so the next thing I did was open the front gate and show Patches my squat jump. He was not very impressed. I almost forgot about the twinks outside of Cathedral, so I made sure to pick them up. Then I got my chonky piece of ornate metal up to +3. I still am not completely familiar with the location of all the twinks, so I went to Dancer because there was a few I know of after her fight. One thing I like to do to see what damage I'll be doing to Dancer is to see what one swing of my weapon does to Emma. One-shotting Emma means better than bad damage, so this is looking to be pretty good. I did try to get headshots for the stagger, but it was a little difficult because the light attacks are horizontal and the heavy takes a really long time. Thankfully, I did get the stagger for some nice looking damage and got a 66,000 soul reward for my efforts. I picked up a few twinks in Dragon Barracks and then went to Osiris. Since I kind of figured out his moves and figured out how to bait them, Osiris really isn't that hard for me anymore. I even got an easy stagger and gave him a face full of this huge load. Pause. Gundyr is next on my list because I want the coiled sword fragment for an easy slab. Gundyr got bullied again, and I got my sword fragment. I also picked up an inferior hammer, which I might use for a run. Maybe. Possibly. Now it is time for Deacons, so I can make my way to Irithyll for some twinks that I know of in that area. The little ones got one shot, and the little one with the big stick got beat by a big hammer, and I won and took his doll. I still need more twinks, so I went to the DLC. I know there isn't twinks I'm looking for in the DLC, but I also want to complete the DLC to get the rings I need from the Ring City. That was a mess of a sentence. I then decided against the DLC till later and went to Piss Watchers, who got pissed on by my piss yellow chunk of cast iron. About the same thing happened to Wolnir, who said his piss yellow was cooler than mine, and I disagreed. But before Boreal Valley, I had to see who was going to win the showdown today. Looks like it's Fire Guy. I think we need a name for these two, so drop some name suggestions in the comments. I grabbed the one twink in Smoldering Lake, then went to the Boreal Valley for one more behind this illusory wall and got my visual impairment upgraded to +5, which only gets me a B scaling of strength, which is a bit disappointing if I'm being completely honest. But then again, that's what she said. Now it's time for DLC. Since I haven't leveled anything other than strength and vitality, I decided to lead Wilhelm outside like a dog. I spun a pirate ship looking wheel in a dark, damp, disgusting, infested basement, which moved a statue, for some reason. I also went to get the Hornet Ring and actually got the Black Knight Great Axe, which is one of my favorite weapons in the game. It looks so cool. Anyway, feet! Sorry. Freed wasn't bad because I have a deviously strong backshot. Father A got his meat beat, but apparently Freed wasn't done yet, so I had to go for round 3. She can no longer walk, because she's dead. Now that I'm in the Ring City DLC, there's 2 rings that I want. The first ring is the Fap Ring +3. I can finally wear all of my armor and have my hammer equipped and mid-roll. I'm currently at 64 vitality and 30 strength. I said earlier that I needed 35 to two-hand, but it was actually 30. My bad. Next, I went to Hell's Care Home to visit an old man with a fire bonk. Yet again, my bonk is better. From one hell to the next, here is where I would love that Black Knight Great Axe. After fighting these guys with a crossbow and broken straight sword, this fight is a lot easier, because I know what to do to make it simpler. Unlike those runs though, I have some Unga Bunga bonk damage. I actually really like this fight, and it is definitely in my top 5 bosses in the game. I ran through Ring City and went all the way through to where you fight that one Leto guy. His hammer might just be cooler than mine, and I might have to use it later in a different run. I will be spending a lot more time leveling up strength though. The reason I'm up here is for the second ring, which is Havel's Ring +3. I don't really need it because the regular Havel's Ring is fine, but more vitality equals more Gooderer. In case I haven't made it too clear, not leveling up health is a minor issue. I got first revenge on Midir on a bridge, then got second revenge on Midir in a hole. Also, I love that Souls games are all about fighting impaired or disabled people and animals. It's amazing. I love FromSoft. Since I could mid-roll now, I didn't know where to go next, so I decided to go back to the base game for some more souls and leave the NPC fights for later, because I don't want to do them, they suck. I got invaded on my way down to Yorm because I was embered, and one charge attack did over half of that health bar. I think it's fair to say this weapon, well, I don't know if I can call it a weapon, it's more like a force of nature only beatable by the camera and gravity. It was then time for Yorm, who got staggered in a staggering 2 hits. Get it? Staggered in a staggering? Get it? It was funny, right? That almost put him past half of his health bar in 3 hits. Next was getting through Earthrill to open shortcuts, but first, something very important. After the important business was over, it was time to embarrass Pontiff Soyboy. You can't even see him behind my hammer. Since I can't one-hand the weapon yet, I couldn't get the riposte at the start because of the time it takes to switch to two-handing. He still get dogged on though. All that was left before going to DSA was Aldrich, who died in 7 hits. With those souls, I got my strength up to 45, which means that I can now one-hand my bonk, which is just a huge flex. Just in case you didn't know, Dragon Slayer armor has high resistance to everything, though it seems he isn't resistant to this day. On my way up to another disabled boss, this guy felt my aura as I was running through and decided to just end it himself. I also am thinking right now, like as in writing this, not past me who is gaming, though technically the me recording this is the past me to the me who is editing, and the me who is editing is the past me of the current me who is out and about somewhere while you're watching this video. But after you just thought about what I am doing somewhere, that me is now in the past as well. But I digress. As I was saying, I think for the DLC of Night Rain, they should add Smough's armor for Raider and Orsty's armor for, like, Wilder. I think that would be sick. Alright, where was I again? Alright, another disabled boss. I tried to smash the disability out of them with my Divine Bonk, but I don't think it worked. Before finishing out the DLCs, I had to go to Archdragon Peak for one of the most annoying bosses in DS3, and then the best boss in DS3. Yes, I think Nameless King is the best boss in DS3. Fight me. It took a few tries, but I cheesed this Wyvern guy. After finding out how to do this, I don't think I will be fighting him differently unless I can't plunging attack, obviously. Now that it is time for Peak.
Dragon and Dawn.
Not that Peak, that's for later. Now that the dragon was bullied, it is time for the king. I enjoyed this fight just as much as always, but I wish I had a little more time to get off more charge attacks other than the end. Unfortunately, it is now time for the NPC bosses. I really wasn't looking forward to these fights, but after seeing that damage, it was over before Gravetender even knew it hit him. Though I'm sure he saw the shadow because my bonk covers the sun and I can just cause an eclipse whenever I want with it. Now for the second NPC fight. If you stand at this rut right here coming out of the ground, the one that splits in two, so you can be right behind Ian when he spawns, then you walk behind him and wait till the summon circle changes color, which dictates the perfect time to initiate a backstab. The easiest way to deal with Half-Light himself is to wait until he uses his spear ornament, then he switches to his bow, and as he is charging a shot, you can get an easy backstab. Or you can just greet it. As I went up here and started the cutscene, my game crashed. I do not know why, and I was hoping I wouldn't have to fight Half-Light again. Thankfully, it saved back in the boss room, so it was fine. I almost missed this little guy. He was hiding behind my greatness. Now, for Gale, I know from experience that you can actually duck under his horizontal swings when you charge your slam. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to work because the arena is not flat. The time I got it to work was when he was randomized into the Deacon's arena. He ended up like everyone else though, and now it's time for the final boss. I am just lucky Smough never linked the first flame, or I might have had to fight the man, the myth, the legend, the Smough, which would have been insane. Like, imagine his sword transforms into a hammer. I feel like that would be wild. Yeah. Now for the review. It is definitely a strength weapon, though it really isn't that great of strength weapon with it only having B scaling at max upgrade level. It also covers up like a third of your screen, so you just straight up can't see the NPCs if they're in front of you. It doesn't really matter though because they're usually just dead. It also weighs a ton, like obscenely, but it's not too bad because most strength weapons also weigh a lot. The armor though, that was the really heavy part. That took me forever. Like I had to go through both DLCs to be able to like mid-roll in it. Overall though, it was fun to use. The heavy attack is always fun, especially when you can dodge an attack with it, which is not too often, but when it happens, it's amazing. Anyway, till next time. Something.